Okay, so our next lecture has to do with the skeletal system, and we always start at the cellular level. So the first thing I want to talk about is the entire structure of a bone, for instance, and the different portions of the bone. So if we go over here, I've drawn sort of a caveman bone, and I've labeled it in the different portions. So the ends of the bones are called epiphyses. The top one that's closest to the body is called the proximal epiphysis, and the epiphysis that's furthest away from the main core of the body is called the distal epiphysis. The main shaft of the bone is called the diaphysis, and then the center hollow part of bones is called the medullary cavity. Inside the medullary cavity, you have yellow bone marrow, which is basically fat. Inside of the epiphyses, you have what we call spongy bone. It looks like sponge, it's very holy, and within there we have red bone marrow, and red bone marrow is where blood cells are produced. So we have two kinds of bone: spongy bone, found on the ends of bone; compact bone, found on the shaft or the diaphysis of bone, largely. Most of that bone is very dense, hard, and it is what gives you your structure. If we look closer at what the compact bone is composed of, I've taken a cross section, and on the board again I'll try to break it down a little bit better for you. But here's a cross section of spongy bone and compact bone, where the spongy bone is in the front and the compact bone is back towards the end. The compact bone is very, very dense. If we take a look at what it would look like if we were looking in a microscope, each one of those little circular bone units is called an osteome. And they have a hollow center called the Haversian canal. In the Haversian canal, then, you have blood vessels and a nerve vessel which comes up, which means that the bone can repair itself because it has a very good blood supply, unlike cartilage, for instance. If we took a look at one of these little dots in that cross-section that we would be looking at in the microscope, what is in one of those dots? What it looks like is a little space. That little space is filled with fluid. We call it the lacuna. Inside of the lacuna is an osteocyte, and an osteocyte is a mature bone cell. It's a cell that does not divide, it just does basic function. Each one of those rings, those little dots of rings, is called the lamellae. They're a little like a tree ring, that each ring kind of goes out and out as a bone grows, for instance. Then around the lacuna, you have little teeny canals that connect each of the little lacuna with each other. And those are called canaliculi. Over here, then we have the ways that bones are formed, and that will be the next lecture.